monument. Here are a couple of drawings and a photo of one, where they're not holding the serpent bar exactly perpendicular to their body, but it's kind of slouched a little. This one looks particularly heavy, like the guy's just barely holding on to it. And this one's kind of tilted funny, and that one's kind of tilted funny. Well, an art historian by the name of Linda Sheely, about 10 years ago, started to see a pattern. And it's looking at these things like Tatiana Kostrikova did, just looking for patterns. And she recognized that the date on this monument, she's able to read the date that the monument was created. The date on the monument and the position of that serpent bar matches exactly the Milky Way. And so what we're looking at is not just a king personifying the world tree, but we're looking at a map of the night sky on that particular day. And so suddenly we have cosmograms for every day in the ancient Maya past. And it's just truly phenomenal. And now we can understand why this king dressed up with all this different kind of jewelry and weird headdresses and all that kind of stuff. Because they were all constellations in the night sky. And so when the king would stand there, he was not only the world tree and the universe, but he was a map of the night sky. Really phenomenal. There's a particular vase, a famous vase, in the Boston Museum of Fine Arts called the blowgun vase, because it shows a guy kneeling down with a blowgun and he's trying to shoot this bird out of the tree. This scene is an exact picture of what's described in that Popol Vuh, that Bible of the ancient Mayans. The Bible describes this exact scene taking place and the significance of the scene. Well, it turns out that on this particular date, you can look at this scene and look up at the night sky, and it's an exact match of all of the different constellations, even the Scorpio. They had Scorpio just like the Greeks did. It's an exact replica of the night sky. And because this scene matches the night sky and matches the scene described in the Popol Vuh, the Popol Vuh is not just a description of how the world came to be, but it's a description of the entire universe and what it looked like, stretching way back in the past and projecting way forward in the future. And so the Maya were able to know exactly what the night sky would look like on December 21st, AD 2012. They knew that the solar system was going to be pushing through to the other side of the Milky Way. They knew exactly where everything would be. And people still do this today. There are still Maya people in southern Mexico and Guatemala and Belize that still use versions of the sacred tree. It looks like a Christian cross to anybody walking along, but it's not. It's the sacred vision of the sacred tree. And there are still ceremonies that take place to this day to record the movement of the night sky in this kind of codified knowledge. This is it's part of a really sophisticated calendrical system. The Maya had, their solar year was 365.25 days, just like ours. They were able to map leap year and account for leap year and all of this kind of stuff in far more complexity than we have ever done. But one quick statement, this image to your right up there, that is not a Maya calendar. I have to point it out because it's everywhere. And it says the Maya calendar, that says Aztec calendar. So I have to point that out and bust your bubble. They pick it because it's really cool looking. But it has nothing to do with the Maya. Nothing to do with it. I have to point that out. The Maya calendar is, we have a decimal system based on tens. They had a decimal system based on 20s. And they had different cycles of 20s. One day, they called it a kin. Kin means sun or sunshine. That means one day. What they called a quinal equaled 20 days. 18 of these was equal to a tune, and so on and so forth. And their longest cycle, these are kind of like days, weeks, months. That's how they kind of broke things up. Their largest cycle was 144,000 days, and they called that the Bakhtun. December 21st, 2012 is the end of the 13th Bakhtun. So it's the end of that particular calendrical cycle before it's switched over to 0. And all of these become 0. It's kind of like an odometer of the car. When you get up to 999,999 miles, it doesn't go to 1,000,000 because you don't have that digit. It flips back to 0. And so that's what's going to happen in 3 weeks from now. their calendar puts over 0 and it starts again. Then the next day will be 1, and the next day will be 2, up until 144,000 days again. Complex stuff. But it's kind of like saying you are here. It's that kind of pinpoint precision accuracy. They knew exactly where you are on the planet Earth in the solar system. So that brings me finally, to make a long story even longer, I got to cut out now, to the whole reason why we're here. One of these small cities like Oaxaca was discovered back in the 1960s in Mexico, in Tabasco, the state of Tabasco. They were putting in, the Mexican government was putting in a cement factory, and they kind of bulldozed all the mountains, and they found this really beautiful monument with hieroglyphic inscriptions, and they bulldozed it. And they put the biggest, nicest piece up in a little museum, and then they took a couple of other pieces and sold them off. This monument would have looked like a world tree. It would have gone up a little bit more, and would have had that circuit bar band coming across. So on one of these parts of the world tree, they broke into 3 fragments that got sold off. And back in 1995 or so, people finally, the collectors finally got together and put those 3 pieces back together. And we were able to the pictographers were able to, this is what it looks like, the 3 pieces finally brought together. They were able to translate the glyphs on what it said. And this was a little missing piece of the puzzle of the overall text. And here is what it said. Get it? All right. It means December 21st, AD 2012, the 13th political cycle will end. And this is on the day, the 4th house, when there will occur blackness. And the god Bolonyokpe, 9-dog tree, that sounds like a rapper. The god of Bolonyokpe will come down to the red. Red is a metaphor for the earth. So he's going to come down, this god is going to come out of the sky, out of blackness, and down to the earth on December 21st, 1824. We've since understood this a little bit better, and it probably doesn't mean a particular god, it probably means the 9 lords of the underworld. The Maya had a pantheon, kind of like the Greeks with Zeus and all that, they had 9 lords of the underworld, and we now believe it will be the 9 lords that come out of the sky down to the earth. So get ready. A month ago, another monument was found at another one of these little Maya ruins called Corona, La Corona, like the beer. And it also mentions December